Hi, I'm Steve Axman, and today's topic is man-free coverage pass attack. Hi, I'm Steve Axman, and today I'm going to be talking on man-free coverage pass attack. General thoughts. Man-free is a one deep free safety coverage with 5 underneath man coverage defenders. Bump press man coverage is the strength. When we see the corners and the backers and the strong safety uptight, playing bump coverage, that's one of the toughest things to defeat with the pass game, and is certainly one of the strengths of man-free coverage. Now, some teams will play off man-free coverage, but it is the bump press man-free coverage that is often considered the strength. We have man-to-man protection on all 5 of the potential offensive receivers. Here's a good example of man-free coverage developing and stemming from a cover 2 look. Man-free eliminates easy underneath throws. That again is one of the strengths, especially from the bump press coverage. It is an excellent third and medium down coverage as a result. Man-free has a deep safety to sit back and play center field. He covers the deep home run threats, and he's the backup to all of the underneath coverage. Underneath man coverage defenders easily fit to any formation, shift, or motion that can be seen. A big positive of man-free coverage that it is easily tied into stunt pressure for up to 5 rush defenders. Now actually you could rush more, but then chances are being taken of someone not being covered. But we are able to rush up to 5 with man-free coverage behind the stunts, and this is one of the reasons that it fits so well with the double eagle or bear defense front package. We have the 5 consistent rushers and 5 pass defenders and underneath, and 1 deep free safety. The diagram here shows how a bear defense can easily rush 5 people, cover with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a press man coverage type of technique as shown here, with 1 free safety deep. In this fashion, the defense always has an extra defender with the ability to pick up or jump any receiver that crosses his path or comes into his area. This is a good example. By rushing only 4 defenders and covering with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we then are allowed a 6th person to become a floater, to become free, to become a hole player, to become perhaps a robber type player, and still have the free safety behind to back us up. And then if the backs or the tight ends don't release and act as blockers, we can have extra floaters. We can have extra hole players in the package to just sit, cover their area, and wait for any crossing type routes to come into their area. Another thing that can happen is if the backs block, again, they could float, as we talked about. They could be hole players, as we talked about, or they could come on delayed blitzes. So the weak backer assigned to the tailback in this case sees his back step up to block. He can then blitz and come on a delayed blitz. Same for the sandbacker. Man-free coverage can offer an extra designed hole or robber coverage defender. Okay? The hole linebacker can sit for short crossing routes or any in-breaking routes. So in essence, what we're talking about here is that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential coverage underneath defenders. When the Mike backer and the Will backer are combo covering, man covering the tailback, so that when the tailback releases to the Mac side, the Mac picks him up, and now the Will linebacker is free to become a hole player or a floater. He becomes an extra underneath coverage defender who can zone cover and help out anybody who crosses or enters his area. Another thing that can be done is that man free can designate a robber linebacker who can work deep to sit for more deeper intermediate crossing routes that may break into his area. So here we see 6 underneath potential man coverage defenders, but the Mac linebacker in this case was designated to be a robber coverage defender. And on the snap of the ball, he drops back to a 12, 14-yard area, sitting in the middle of the field, looking for any crossing routes coming into his area. We still have 5 underneath man coverage defenders and a free safety deep to back everybody up. Here's an example of how an initial 2 deep, 5 under man coverage defense stems down into a man-free coverage. The strong safety jumps down into a robber position. He's looking for any of the crossing routes coming into his area. Free safety is dropping back deep to be the true free safety in the man coverage with 5 underneath man coverage defenders. Man free can be played with loose man coverage, off coverage as it is called, with defenders anywhere from 7, 8, 9 yards off of the receivers. It could be played with tight bump press coverage. More often we see today the tight bump press coverage utilized, or we can see a combination of both, where we see that certain receivers are taken away with bump press coverage and others we'll see having loose man coverage. This presentation will focus on a tight bump press man coverage. This will focus better on the use of man beater concepts in the routes and in the patterns. Tight bump press coverage can be very, very hard to beat. It's one of the true challenges of offensive football. If a pass offense comes out and all of a sudden bump press coverage is put in their face and they can't defeat it, then the chances of success are going to be very, very slim for the offense. The receivers must man separate. They must know the techniques and learn to execute the techniques of bump press coverage and be able to make sure that they can man separate from the defender who is covering them tightly. And one last thing, man free offers a lot of flexibility. The structure itself can be very flexible in covering most any formation and allowing the defense to do some things. Here's a good example. We have man-free coverage. We brought in a dime personnel. Here we have the dime personnel being a robber sitting in the middle of the field. We got 5 underneath man press coverage defenders with a nickel defender in covering the tight end. So there's a lot of flexibility. If we see trips, if we see bunch formation, it doesn't matter. Man-free has tremendous flexibility to be able to take care of its assignments. Man-free coverage weaknesses. Beating tight man bump press coverage can lead to big gains. You have to remember that if we run a slant, if the outside receiver runs a slant, he beats his man. He works his technique tightly into his bump press coverage technique defender. He breaks away, he gets separation, he catches the ball on the run. Well, everyone else is covering their receivers man to man. And those people may be running off, may be running downfield with their backs now turned to the receiver who has just caught the ball. So the key, so much of the key, is get the man separation, hopefully on the run, and now we have an excellent chance of turning short catches into long gains because the rest of the defense is being occupied by receivers who are running their routes. Another weakness of man-free coverage is that the total coverage can only be as strong as the weakest man coverage defender. This is what leads to one-on-one isolations, matchups. From an offensive standpoint, you must continually look to find out who are the weaker man coverage defenders, if man coverage is what the defense is doing, and find ways to isolate against the weakest defenders. Use routes, use receivers, use concepts which will best isolate and take advantage of their weakness. Another weakness of man coverage is that the free safety coverage is extremely weak to the outside. The free safety sits in the middle of the field. He's the center fielder. He's backing everybody up. He can do a fairly good job from hash to hash, depending on where he's aligned. But basically, he can do a good job of handling anything to the inside. Where he is weak is routes that break deep to the outside. The free safety is extremely vulnerable, in this case, to smash routes or any type of routes that go to the outside because he has such a long distance to get there. For streak type designs can hold the inside man coverage and create excellent one-on-one isolations. Everyone here is covered up man to man. We have one-on-one coverage on all four streaks. The free safety is in an excellent position to provide 3-on-2 defensive coverage on the two inside streaks. We have one person each covering the two streaks, the free safety in the middle, so they are 3-on-2 inside. That's a strength of the man-free coverage. However, outside we truly have one-on-one press man coverage and an excellent ability to get a completion for a big gain versus the fact that these corners, in this case, have no backup help. Tight bump press man coverages can be extremely vulnerable to outside acute routes, rollaway routes, comeback outs, deep rollaways. Because again, they're very often put in a one-on-one isolation, and the thing that they fear most is getting beat deep by the streak. So anything where we have a deep stem threat, which is looking like streak, and then breaks off into deep rollaways, deep comeback outs, rollaways, acutes, that puts tremendous pressure on the corners and very often finds receivers wide open underneath the corners, as the corners are influenced to actually run by the break stem. Digs and square in isolations can be extremely excellent versus man-free coverage, especially when there is someone that can blow the top of the coverage off and remove that free safety. So by working deep square ins, that could be 14 yards, 15 yards, could be 18 yards, 20 yards, but deep square in routes can be extremely effective as long as we, of course, can hold up with the pass protection, especially when you have any type of receiver that is just going right down the middle of the formation, helping to clear out the free safety so that he cannot assist on the square in action. Curls and hook isolations can be extremely tough on man-free coverage. The key here is that the receivers must get separation. And working this concept is not the easiest thing to do, but it's something that the receivers must master. You know, here we show that we're stemming hard into the corner and then breaking upfield with maximum speed to push that corner deep, and then what we need is to basically throw him past us and break back and swim back to the inside. A difficult technique to master, but once it is mastered, it really gives a threat to the cornerback that will make him fear and can be very, very effective and help get some really good completions. One-on-one option isolations are really excellent versus man-free coverage. We really can help to get good one-on-ones. Even here, where we're seeing 5 underneath man bump press coverage defenders with a hole player, we simply can go with a double isolation route, read the MAC backer, who in this case is the hole player or the robber or whatever we may want to call him, And if he goes strong to the 3 receiver side, then the quarterback simply focuses in on the one-on-one isolation versus the weak linebacker. If the MAC backer works towards the weak linebacker, then he focuses in on a Y option in this diagram versus the strong linebacker. Drives and crosses really help to create excellent man separation routes and patterns versus man free. Here we see the Z drive, basically the Z working and stemming and sticking the corner and then breaking on man separation and working across the formation. An excellent way, an excellent route to be able to create man separation and continue on the man separation. Here we have the Y, who is able to, he's being man covered by the MAC backer to burst upfield and get a stick move to the outside and break and get separation to the inside and stay on the move. Separate and maintain separation. So these are excellent concepts to utilize versus man-free techniques. The problem for such drive and cross action is very often there can be whole players who can kind of sit in the middle and wait for those crossers or drive routes to come in the area and help pick them up. So that's something that the offense need to be very cognizant of when they are planning versus man-free coverage. Outs, especially squared out routes, can be very effective versus man-free. Here we see the inside receivers against man-free who are working upfield, sticking inside, breaking, separating, and then maintaining the separation to the outside. Very tough for, in this case, a linebacker to hold up against. Here we see a slot being bumped coverage by a strong safety, sticking him, working upfield, leaning inside, snapping, getting separation, maintaining separation to the outside. Those type of routes can be very effective, and the one thing that we like about any type of routes that work outside is they have a tendency to work away from whole players. That is one of the weaknesses of crosses and drives. Even though we have a good opportunity to work across the field, break away from a man coverage, very often we may be working into whole players, where outside breaking routes have the opposite effect. We are working away from extra hole or floaters. Another weakness of man-free coverage, they are very, very susceptible to double move routes. The double move routes are excellent means of going deep against man coverage defenders who really jump hard on the first break or on the prime portion of a route. So basically hitch and goes. Here we see a quick out and up. Those routes are excellent to execute against man-free coverage, especially ones that are breaking outside or working outside away from the free safety. Two big concepts in beating man coverage, man-free coverage, are to cross and to isolate. We want to cross receivers, and then we want to pick on one-on-one isolations that are in favor of the offense. You will hear that being spoken about throughout this presentation. And it is very, very key to get separation from the man coverage and then to maintain that separation. Many receivers will make the mistake of working hard, leaning into a receiver, head faking one way, snapping and getting separation, and then zone throttling, and forgetting that the reason that they worked that man separation was because they were being covered man. And that person, even though you may get separation, is going to try to chase you to catch up to you. So we need to man separate, to have our techniques to get man separation and then run as fast as possible and maintain that separation so the man coverage defender cannot catch up to him. Something that is similar to the crossing action is to have legal picks and rubs, combinations that can be very, very effective against man coverage. Now, picking is when you're running into a person and blocking that person out for someone to brush off you to interfere with the man coverage. That's illegal, but crossing actions and legal picks where a receiver sets up a route and a receiver runs tightly off of him, those are legal picking actions and are is something that man coverages are very, very susceptible to. The first group of routes and patterns that we are going to talk about is the routes and patterns of the quick pass game in our attack of man-free coverage. Many people feel that hitches are not good routes to run versus man coverage, especially press bump man coverage, and I think that's definitely true. What most people will do if they have hitches on will be to adjust their routes into fade routes, and adjust the hitches into fade routes. Stem into the bump coverage technique and then burst upfield and look for the fade throw. However, one concept that can be done is to run a deeper hitch. Most hitches are in the 5-6 yard range. Some people will run 8-yard hitches, which kind of put some extra steps into the hitch stem and get the corners to feel like they are truly being run deep on fade actions, and then the receivers aggressively will work back inside and body up to run their hitch action. So an 8-yard, an 8-yard hitch action, a physical 8-yard hitch against bump press coverage can be very, very effective. The quarterback will need then to work a very fast 5-step time drop. He just needs a little more timing. He doesn't want to sit at the 3-step drop area and allow that rush pressure to get in his face. So he's going to go back 5 steps, but it's a very quick 5 steps, and then the ball is off. Here we see a hitch versus off man-free coverage. Next, we have quick fades. Fades are excellent versus bump press man-free coverage. Here we see the receivers are sticking, of working hard into the technique of the bump press defenders, sticking into them, then working up tightly upfield to run their fade routes. It's very important that the outside receivers leave a 4 to 5 yard pad from the sideline so that the quarterback knows they have that cushion to drop the ball in, to fade the receiver away from the coverage defender so that the ball can be dropped in for the completion. If the wide receivers don't leave that room and are a yard or two from the sideline, then the ball will simply go out of bounds, and it's really the fault of the receiver when everybody thinks the quarterback threw a poor pass. Here's an example of executing a fade versus press man-free coverage. Quick hitch and goes are excellent versus man-free coverages, especially to the outside, because once again, the free safety has difficulty really getting from sideline to sideline. We can help the situation by putting a receiver right through the free safety area to make sure we're holding him. But quick, aggressive hitch and go actions by the outside receivers really can be very, very effective in helping to provide valuable deep yardage throwing. Quick double slants can be very effective against man-free coverage, against the press bump coverage. Here we have a double slant, and we see the inside slot working tightly, driving into the inside number of the strong safety, and then working, breaking hard for inside separation. But for the most part, we're looking here to clear that strong safety out so that the outside receiver can stick the outside number of the corner, work tightly inside, and then separate hard to the inside so we can create a window to throw to. A very interesting concept we have here is what we call a China route, where we tell the backside receiver to actually be an outlet. Here we see him sticking outside, and we see him leaning up and running a slant. and he stays in that slant until he sees eyes from the quarterback. When the quarterback's eyes come back to him, then he knows to break back to the outside and lose ground. This is a delayed slant action that breaks back to the outside as an outlet, and it times very, very well for the quarterback to be able to look to one side in a three-step throw and then quickly be able to come back to an outlet that times perfectly with his action of scanning back to the backside in a three-step drop. Another means of attacking man-free coverage, press man-free coverage with slants is to get a one-on-one isolation to a backside receiver, perhaps in a trips formation. Here it's shown using play action. A little flash fake will help to hold linebackers to create a hole. But once again, we are looking for the very precise execution of stemming outside, breaking tightly inside, leaning on the corner, snapping off to gain separation so that we can stick the whole throw in there. And once we do, if we can lead him tightly and catch the receiver on the run, we have a chance for a big gain. Here's a slant versus press man-free coverage. Next, we are going to take a look at slant go routes. Slant go routes are very, very effective routes versus man-free coverage. And of course, they come right off of slant action. What we see here is we're working hard on our slant separation and then breaking back deep into a fade action, fading away from the free safety. Once again, I like the idea of blowing someone through the free safety area to hold that person, to keep him away from being able to support to the outside. But again, slant, go action. It's a slant with a fade action. Great double move action versus bump man press coverage. We do not have to just use double slant action versus man-free coverage. We can very well use slant, flat, or slant arrow. Some people call them arrows. They're a little flatter than flat routes. But the combination of the arrow, slant, actually almost gives us a natural picking action as the pattern develops, which can often produce big results. There's many times when I've seen a simple arrow route being thrown to, and the next thing you know, the receiver's running up the sideline. But the natural quick pick of the crossing action can really help to be very, very effective versus press man-free coverage. Here is slant flat route action versus man-free coverage. The quick slant read route can also be a very effective route against man-free press bump coverage. Now our outside receiver is going to run a fade. He must outside release and run the fade to take that corner with him and clear out the area. And very simply, in this case, the X, who's the inside receiver, is going to stick and stem outside, break inside, and see if he can break the slant and see if he can get inside. If he can't, he puts on the brakes and wheels back to the outside. So it's like he can't be wrong if he executes this correctly. The thing that we're always concerned about is making sure there aren't floaters, extra hole players in there that could jump that slant. The quick inside speed out is an excellent concept versus man-free. Basically, we are clearing with the outside receivers. They must outside release, take their people with them, and then what we're looking for is the inside receivers to work to 5 or 6 yards, stick to the inside and snap to the outside, get separation, and maintain separation. One of the reasons that we like this so much, again, is because there's no help to the outside. If there's going to be a hole or a floater or anyone extra inside, they cannot help out on outside breaking routes. A route that can be good versus man-free bump press coverage is to use a quick spin route by an inside receiver. We've snapped the route out and we've run the out route 2 or 3 times, and in this case the strong safety is overplaying the route. We could run the spin route, which breaks to the outside and comes back inside. The important thing is the quarterback needs to throw that on timing, so if there are any floaters, if there are any extra people, we can get the ball to the spin route and he can knife upfield before we can get any interference from a hole player. Quick speed outs by the outside receivers can also be very effective. The only thing is that the angle gets a little tighter for us. We can cut the split down of the X and the Z, stem inside, break tightly up to the outside, snap to the outside. The only thing that concerns me is that the angle of throw is very tight, and if there's very little margin for error, and if that cornerback can somehow step under, then he could very well have an interception for a touchdown. So we're a little cautious with that route, and really feel it might be an isolation type route when we really feel we know we can pick on a certain defender. Next, we have the quick speed out and up routes, and this is an excellent double move route. What we see is quick outs. We're squaring those quick outs to the sideline at about 5-6 yards, sticking, stemming tightly, breaking hard to the outside, and then taking it upfield. The thing we like about that, again, is we're staying away from the free safety. He's the extra deep center fielder, can do a lot of damage in the middle. Where he's vulnerable is to the outside. So we really like the quick speed out and ups, double move to really give us some big play capabilities against man-free. The quick stick can also be very, very effective because what we are doing is creating a one-on-one isolation for the tight end. We going to outside release versus the corner. We take the safety, to the safety to the flat with the flat route. And now we lean and we stick on a strong linebacker, push him upfield, snap to the outside, and get a nice one-on-one separation. We've run everything out, and it gives us an ability to isolate on the bump man press coverage with a nice big tight end on a linebacker. Quick option routes can also be very good. Here, we're running it in a combination of routes. We've got a quick inside speed out, which the quarterback could go to. We've got an excellent one-on-one short option possibility by the wide receiver. We've got a backside slant, so our quarterback can come up to the line of scrimmage and really take any one of these 3 aspects that he likes. The thing that we always have to be concerned about are the extra hole or robber coverage personnel. One of my favorite pattern or route combination possibilities of man-free is to run under routes outside with big slot inside receiver fade routes outside. So basically what we are looking at is the inside receiver sticking their man and tightly working upfield and then letting the ball fade them to the outside away from the free safety. Here I've shown a free safety and a nickel robber, and it's not much they can do. Stick, work upfield, and then a fade throw to the outside. That's the one read. We would simply read the free safety of the robber, see if anybody's really leaning heavily to one side, we'll go to the other. And if that's covered, we have the man separation, stick, up, break inside, stay on the move. The only thing that we don't like is that if we let that person come too far inside, we may run into a floater or a robber or a hole player. But the major premise of this is to work these inside fade routes. They've been big play big plays for us over the years, and one of the first things that our quarterbacks like to check to when they see man-free coverage. Here's inside receiver fade action with an outside receiver under route versus man-free coverage. Next, we will take a look at the out concepts to attack man-free coverage. First of all, we're going to start off with the slotted inside receiver square outs. Basically, very similar to the quick outs. Instead, we are going to work up to approximately 10 yards and work one-on-one isolations where we will work and stick the man covering us, work upfield, little head nod, separate and snap to the outside. Get separation and maintain separation. Very important for the outside receivers to stick and release outside to clear their defender and open up that area. A major reason, again, that we like this so much is that when we break outside with the number 2 receiver, we are not working into any areas where we might find hole players or floaters. We're working away from the free safety coverage, so we really are in good position to get isolations, get the ball in the hands of receivers running into areas where there will be no defenders. Rollaways are in the out family for us, and we really feel that they are excellent versus man bump, man-free coverage. We're going to stick and work upfield and burst to 12 yards. We're really trying to sell the streak very, very hard. Plant, put our outside foot in the ground and roll away. And once we roll away, we're going to just body up and get that ball coming to the outside and do a good job of shielding off the man coverage defender. Here we feel we have a very nice total pattern with the backside scan outlets. Our Y sticks, works in, drives in, and snaps out. He works that area. He's got to be careful he can't run into the rollaway, but still the timing should be perfect, that it's either 1 or 2, very quickly 1 to 2, and then going 3. We have a backside scan outlet, so we have a square in, stick, work upfield, head fake, snap inside and drive inside. Get separation and maintain separation. Stick, drive upfield, separate inside on that curl, and drive back to the quarterback. So we have really a good combination of prime route, out route type concepts with a scan concept, read concept to the backside. Here's rollaway route action versus man-free coverage. Next, we're going to take a look at acute or rollaway routes with middle read action by the tight end or the inside receiver. Outside, we're here running an acute, stick, drive to 12, sell the streak route, plant the inside foot, and run what is a short comeback out. Here we have our rollaway. Stick, drive upfield, sell the streak, plant the outside foot, and roll away back to the outside, 12 to 10 yards. Inside, what we are looking at is a middle read route. Basically, if it was a cover 2 middle, we would break the broken arrow route. However, if there's a man in the middle, what we want to do is to work up 12 to 14 yards and break to the inside. Get the man separation and maintain that separation by staying on the move. Now, if for some reason we got to a point and let's say the free safety was way over on the hash and we said, hey, no one's deep, we give that person a license, give that tight end the license to keep on going. But for the most point with man-free coverage, we should see someone in the middle of the field, so we're going to break it off in the middle of the field and stay on the move. Interesting point here, backs are on sit route assignments. If it's zone, they're going to basically get the 3 to 4 yards and sit down. But if it's man-to-man and they see that it's the man-to-man coverage, they want to just lean at the linebacker and snap away, get separation, and maintain separation. Lean at their backer who's covering a man and snap away, get separation, and maintain separation, so that we have 5 man-to-man routes that are gaining separation and maintaining the separation, or beating the man coverage with acute rollaway type action. Next, we show comeback outs and deep rollaways, and we are showing it with some high-low triangle middle read action. But what we are showing is we're working up to 18 yards of running that rollaway, sticking, selling the streak to 18 yards and running a comeback out. I will get into this a little later in depth, but what we are doing when we see a lot of bump press man coverage, we really like crossing action by the backs, and we get them to brush one another, and very often we'll find one of the two linebackers, if not both, stuck, and all of a sudden a receiver popping free. If that doesn't look good, then basically we have the tight end on his man separation techniques working to the middle. So we get a triangle read out of it. The crossing route produces the corners of the triangle, and later we have the tight end coming into the middle. In the same token, though, the quarterbacks can look outside and use the deep roll away or the comeback out as initial reads. If they know they're going to take that, we're going to drive back to 7 steps, plant, and let the ball go. Actually, the middle read concept can be used on any of the routes that we've been talking about, the out route type concepts, whether it's roll away or acute, whether it's comeback out or deep roll away, we can use that middle read concept. So again, the inside receiver in this case is the slot. He's got the middle read route. As he works upfield, he sees the free safety in the middle field. That tells him to snap it off and drive. We have a robber there that eliminates the ability to throw to him, but still that is his read. Really what the quarterback should then be thinking once they see free safety and robber is to get to the outside. Let's get to the outside isolations where we have good isolations, whether it's a 5-step time throw or whether it's a 7-step time throw. One rule that we have is anytime we have a speed out throw by an outside receiver, and he gets man coverage, whether it's off man coverage or if it's bump press man coverage as seen here in the bump press man free coverage, we are going to change it. We're going to stick. We're going to drive upfield to about 10. We're going to shorten the route because it takes us a little longer to execute versus press coverage. Stick the man inside and break hard to the outside. So in essence, what we are going to do is turn speed outs into man square out routes and adjust them on the move. An advanced technique that some people utilize with their speed out concept, if they're running a speed out with an alley route and all of a sudden they see a bump press man coverage, they will automatically adjust by running a fade route by the outside receiver and having the inside receiver man stick, lean, snap at 10, and run an inside square out. That's a little bit of an advanced technique, but it's one I feel it's important to mention because it's very, very important to have a plan that attacks bump press coverage, man-free bump press coverage, and that is an excellent concept. Once again, to use your inside person, snapping out. He's breaking out into a cleared out area with no help from the free safety, robbers, floaters, any of the extra people that could be free in man coverage, man-free man coverage. The next concept, square out and up. Once again, double moves. Double moves are excellent versus man-free coverage, versus any man coverage. Stick, work up, lean inside, snap outside, and then run an out and up, a square out and up. We are working into the areas where the free safety has the toughest time getting to. We are isolating versus the man-free coverage and giving ourselves an excellent chance to get deep yardage throwing. Some people like to use a switch-out concept. It's shown with sprint-out action. And what we are doing is getting a crossing action. We allow the Z to go first, and we are sure for the inside, the slotted receiver here, to go underneath and base work to 12 and run an acute route to the outside. Work to 12, hook to the inside, and then break back outside. It's kind of a designed route. It fits very, very well with sprint out action because both routes end up working back to the outside. But it gives you a natural crossing action to help possibly rub off one defender or another, and then get good man separation techniques working back out to the sideline with the flow of the quarterback as he sprints out to the outside. Our next concept to be examined versus man-free coverage are our curls, our hooks, and our square ends. Very often we like to use the inside middle read concept or the middle triangle read concept versus the man-free. We can also use curl, hook, flat concepts or clear out concepts to help and aid the breaking routes. We're going to start out here with the curl, hook, flat, lateral read concept. So basically, our inside receivers are running the flat routes or running a speed out route to affect the flat. As soon as they see the bump press coverage, then they want to lean into the man coverage technique and then snap to the outside and get separation. We talked about before that on the curl routes or the hook routes, we want to stick, we want to sell the streak, try to get that corner to feel like he's getting beat deep so that we can get him even with us or even ahead of us, so we could put our hand on his back and throw him by and swim to the inside and then body up so that we can get inside of the defender and be able to make the catch. The same thing here. We're seeing a flat route, but again, we're getting man coverage. So we're going to start into the flat route, stair step like we're going up into the alley, and then snap and get man separation and maintain separation. Z is going to do the same thing as the X, except it's a little deeper because we call for a hook over here. Stick him, get him to push him back into his man alignment technique, break it deep, threaten him to 18 yards with streak, and then again get our hand on the middle of his back, push him by, and swim over and work back to the ball and body up on the ball and position ourselves between the man defender and the football. Here's flanker curl action versus man-free coverage. Here is a sprint at action with curl flat action by the receivers. What we see here is a curl flat action, but we're sprinting out, so we tell the X in this case, stick. Take it up to 14-ish, break back inside. Again, that throw-by technique is very, very good, but in the same token, he can't keep working inside because the quarterback's sprinting outside. So if we're not open, then work back to the outside in a delayed fashion. Make sure that we curl up first and come to the quarterback, and then we can work back outside. We want to make sure that we don't interfere with the window of what is the out flat route. The inside receiver is going to stick, work up the 5, and snap to the outside. He wants to drive to the outside so that we get two windows to throw to. One to the flat route and one to the curl route. Next, we're showing the curl possibility as an outlet route versus man-free. We could make it a hook route. Here it's shown as a curl route at 14. We could hook at 18, what we have done is to have two prime routes against the man free that we like. We have a rollaway route with an inside deeper stick type route for a 1-2 scan read for the quarterback, good man separation routes, and then to scan to the backside to an outlet that has a lot of room to work into. That's the curl. We could go to 18 yards if we feel we wanted more depth, more time for the route to develop, and work 18 and come back and drive into the hole and find the hole and stay on the move. We show that the slot route is going to work his flat route by running a short square out as he has to do normally on any flat curl or flat hook combinations. The scan is a very nice scan, 1 to 2 to 3. Double square ends can be very effective versus man-free coverage. We just have to be very careful about the possibility of the free safety jumping the inside square end by the Y. That's one of the reasons that we like to run that at 10 yards. He's a little shallower, so if he would have a longer way to come to jump that route. So we are careful there, but we get the square end separation. We get the square end separation here. We like that a little deeper at 12 yards so that we are not climbing up the back of the tight end. The tight end is probably going to be a little slower. He's going through more traffic. He's bigger. He's probably not as fast as the Z. So we're going to stick, drive, in. Read that 1, stick, drive, separate, in, 2, with the back and the flat 3. Again, the only thing that we want to be concerned about is what that free safety is doing in relation to the tight end square end route. Next, we are showing a shallow cross with curl action. This is an excellent combination to use against man-free coverages. What we are doing is we are, with our inside person, is to take a quick stick at the outside number, then drive in, try to get man separation. The tailback is running a swing so he can pull out the Mac backer. We could actually designate for him to go the other way if we know it's man coverage. The only thing is if we get combo coverage, then he could sit there and let the will backer take him. So being safe, we like to take the tailback to the side of the shallow cross action so that we know we're pulling out the linebacker to that side and open up an area where we can very quickly beat that strong safety. Now, we see BB there. That means blitz beater. If we get blitz, that's the guy we know to go to. He's running the perfect route for us to beat the blitz. Now, if our slot is covered because the strong safety is running with him, that opens up the hole for the X, who sticks up and drives inside. He's got to drive inside, whether flat or coming back to the ball, whichever way he can beat that corner. He has to get open so that we go 1 to 2, swing 3. Very effective concept versus man free with a real good blitz beater accompanied. Backside, we're showing the outlet route we talked about before, an 18-yard hook route, which really takes time to develop. So 5-step timing here to 7-step timing backside. This is an interesting concept. It's that shallow cross concept that we just spoke about, but we run it with what we call a replacement curl by the inside receiver. So instead of the slot running the shallow and the outside receiver running the curl, we are going to cross these two people. The X is going to run the shallow, and the slot is going to run around, and he's the person responsible for going under and working up and running what we call a replacement curl. We like this because we get a little more room for the shallow to operate in for the man coverage to be able to stay away from any possible floaters. Everything's kind of removed, almost one man. Our slot runs his replacement curl, so he's in the same area, but we just give a little more room for that X to work into. He's the blitz beater, again. So it reads 1 to replacement curl 2 to swing 3. Great pattern versus man free. Okay, another thing we can do is to run the middle read with curls or hooks. Our middle read again tells us that we are going to run our route off of safety coverage. If there's a man in the middle of the field, then we're going to break it to 12 or 14 and snap across the formation, and now we become an outlet. We always have to be a little concerned about this outlet because the free safety is in an excellent position to jump it. It will, however, keep that person occupied for our outside curl or our outside hook routes at 14 or 18 yards. Again, we have to look for that separation. You know, here we see our tailback being covered by the weak linebacker. So we're going to basically break outside, stair step it up, and then break back to the outside. The fullback, break outside, stair step it up to try to straighten the backer up, and then break it to the outside. Man separation techniques, and then maintain the separation. Here is our scan outlet to the backside, concept that we like tremendously. Here we have a prime read route of a rollaway, which is excellent versus the man free, of a Texas type of route, an alley Texas type of route by the Y, and then scanning to the backside to a slot, short slot square in at 10 yards with a lot of room to work into. Now we've got to be really cautious of the hole type players. And then an outside route of 14 or 18 yards, the curl or the hook, by the outside receiver. So our scan is 1, 2, 3 to 4. Being very careful on 3 because of the free safety and possible hole players. Versus man free, we must be cognizant of the possibility of extra floaters, hole players, robbers in the middle. Next, we go back to double moves. Double move routes are excellent versus any type of man coverage, certainly against man-free press and bump coverage. Here we have a curl go. A curl's going to stick. He's going to break up and drive. Now, we'll probably shorten this a little bit because it takes some time. So instead of 14 yards, we're maybe at 12 yards. Fake the curl and take it deep. The thing we like about that is we are staying away from the free safety. To this side, we have a curl, flat combination with a quick square out flat, and go. So that if the corner's jumping and taking that tight, we got an isolation against a strong safety, breaking the flat and then taking him deep. Again, staying away from the free safety. An excellent chance of gaining deep yardage. The next concept that we will take a look at is the high-low smash concept versus man-free coverage. This is another concept that we like very much because we are working some deep areas away from the free safety. The free safety really can do a great job in the middle of the field. He's vulnerable to the outside. So the double smash gives us inside receivers who stick, drive up 10 to 12, not inside, and break to 30 to the outside. In the meantime, underneath, we've got smash routes, and because of the man coverage, what we're going to do is stick, press upfield, and break hard, and try to break hard and beat it inside. If we can't beat it inside, then the rule is if you can't beat man inside, then take it back outside. Take it back outside. So our quarterback's going to take a look at the free safety and see where he can best support one of the post corners. If he's leaning more towards the Y, or let's say he's leaning more towards the slot, then we would go to the Y and go to this combination, this high-low smash combination. Here's a double smash with back motion. So simply we are in a twin set. We've got smash action here against the man free. Fullback motions, he's running the smash route. His back's got to know how to man break it. And we're simply going to read the free safety, go opposite the free safety's lean. If in doubt, we certainly would rather go here to the Z on the post corner than the tight end. but again, the free safety may determine which side we have to go to. Here's a smash isolation with a backside read square in combination. So again, what we are doing is we are producing a prime read route here of the smash combination. Stick, drive, lean, snap it to 25. We've got a Y in there, so we want 25. Stick, take it up 5 to 6, drive inside. If we can't beat them inside, go back outside. So we got man beaters here, and if it's not there, if the high-low is not there, 1 to 2, then we go backside to a read route by the slot. So if he sees free safety in the middle of the field, he just keeps taking it deep. If he saw a cover 2 look, which again, we're not talking about cover 2 right now, but if he saw a cover 2, then he would run the broken arrow route inside. Our X is running a deep square in. So that gives us a 1, 2, 3, 4 read. We can use the back here as a dump late. One of the other things that we like to do against man-free coverage is to run a smash with a backside drag route. One step and hit it and bring it across the formation. So here now with our Y and with our Z, we've got our smash combination. We are working away from the free safety. We are also using the fullback to blow through deep to occupy the free safety. And now we simply have a nice high, low read with a drag coming across the formation. And that drag is an excellent route to use. Get separated on the corner, work all the way across the field to beat the corner. Now, we make him the blitz beater. If the blitz is coming, that's a natural blitz beater route. Here is a shallow cross pattern principle with the smash thinking. So what we are doing is to run the inside receiver on the post corner with the outside receiver running that shallow cross route. Excellent blitz beater, excellent man beater route. We like it with the outside receiver because he's further removed, so this way when he works to the inside, he's staying away from any potential hole or floater defenders. We get a good isolation here, working away from the free safety. We show the concept with a backside hook route as an outlet. Here is the bunch spot route. We really like this against man-free coverage. We kind of compacted 3 receivers. We're getting a lot of crossing action with a person going through the middle. So this is really a very popular thought in our minds. We start out with a fullback. He's going to stick the safety. He doesn't want to run away from him. He wants to stick him into his technique, and then sprint to the flat, drive away, get separation, maintain separation. Our Y wants to stick and burst upfield and work his post corner route away from the free safety. Our Z is going to stick the outside of the corner, outside shoulder, and then break inside and work to the MAC backer and then break back outside. It's a delayed action. It's a delayed route to give us a 1, 2, 3 read for the quarterback. From bunch, it works best from bunch type concepts, and we really get good picking, good natural picking action in the pattern. Here's a bunch alternate spot route. Again, we're getting the same concept, we're just doing it differently. Now the Y sticks and runs the flat, gets separation and runs the flat. Now the slot, in this case, sticks, takes it up and runs the post corner and stays away from the free safety. Now the Z from the outside is running the spot route. 1, 2, 3, spot read. And again, we got a lot going on in there. The nickel, the strong safety, the corner, they're not sure where everybody's going. They're afraid of all the crosses and the rubs, and it really is an excellent action to use against man-free coverage. Here's an example of using the spot concept with no bunch. We have an offset back. We have a Z who's short motioning. Well, in essence, that really, by alignment, helps us to put our receivers in a bunch type of spread. And we get the Z running the spot. We got the the tailback who's running the flat, a stick route, and separates. And we got the Y running his post corner route. 1, 2, 3 is our read progression. We're showing it with a backside and a backside. We've got a double slant action. So if the quarterback's feeling pressure and feeling blitz, and hey, he could just go very well go to the double slant action. But we've got excellent action front side, excellent spot type of picking, rubbing action to the prime side of the route. One other thing we like to look at is the switch smash concept. It's a way of running the smash, but we are switching the responsibilities of the inside and outside receiver. The X is the person that's going to run the adjusted post corner route. He'll stick the corner to the outside and work inside, break up, and then break into the post corner route to 30 yards. The slot in this case is going to run the around route and brush off of the butt of the X and work up to about 6 yards. And now he's going to run the smash route, try to beat the route in, beat the defender inside. If he can, he'll break it back outside. And again, we're going to get our high-low read, our switch smash high-low read. And this is a good alternate way when you're really having troubles getting off the bump and press to kind of mix things up and get that crossing action, get those rubs that can very often free one or both of your receivers. Okay, our next concept is our post corner concept, attack of man-free coverage. And really what we are doing is to look to isolate outside post corner routes versus the cornerbacks, to get one-on-one versus the corners versus the bump press coverage. On this side, I show a 5-step stem, which is a shorter route, which would time with a 5-step drop by the quarterback. To this side, we're showing is 7-step stem, which times to a 7-step drop of the quarterback. The more steps you take, actually, the easier or more time, more steps you have to be able to maneuver the corner. However, it takes more time to protect, and you have to worry about protection time. We're showing these post corners with a middle read concept by the Y. So again, the Y is looking in his concept. If it's cover 2, he's running the broken arrow. No one deep, take it deep. But here he sees the middle is covered by the free safety in the man-free coverage. So he's going to snap it off and break it out. To accommodate the post corners, we got flat routes. They really become high-low reads. They become high-low reads. So we would read 1 to 2 to 3. Okay? Now, we're going to stick. We're going to drive to 5, nod, take it to 30. We're going to stick. We're going to drive for 7 steps, 7 total steps, lean, and snap to 30, and get the high-low isolation. Here we are showing a post-corner isolation, so this is our prime side. Again, high to low, 1 to 2, and then coming back to a square in action. We're taking the slot and blowing them through the middle of the formation to clear out the free safety so that we can stick and that we can really get a nice chance to beat the man to the inside and not have to worry about a free safety or a robber because we feel we're getting him cleared out by the slot receiver. The slant corner sprint out concept is really an excellent concept versus man-free bump and press coverage. Basically, we are looking to stick and run the slant. We want to stick the technique, and if we can't get inside him immediately, we stick him, we take it up and slant, and then break it back out to 20 yards. This is shorter. This is sprint out action. We're accommodating a 5-step sprint out action by the quarterback. Our inside receiver is running a quick out, which is squared off. He's breaking up 5 to 6, a little stick move, and breaks to the outside. So we want to stick. What we normally tell our receiver is 4 steps, 3 steps, and break it to 20. But of course here he's got to lean in and snap up on that corner, and he breaks into a slant, and then he curls it over to 20 to give us a nice high-low read on the sprint out action. Our next concept is to look at our 3-tiered dig square in attack of man-free coverage. What is so important to us is that we have to be sure that our Z, in this case, who is running the post, sticks, gets over the top, and must get into the picture quick enough to clear out the free safety so that the free safety cannot jump down on the square in route. Now, some people will basically still look at him as an initial read route. The timing may be a factor here, but again, if the free safety did jump early on the square in, that over-the-top post route is a home run throw. If not, what we're looking at here is a Y cross route as the first read, with the square in coming in second as the second read, with a delayed scissor route. Expand to the flat and come inside 3. So really we are getting 1, 2, 3. We get a double crossing action that allows us to look from Y working out up to the square in working in, and if that's not there, to come straight down to the scissor route coming in. It really develops very nicely versus man coverage and really gives us a good double cross action off of the tight end's cross route. Here is a slot dig with a Z clear. Now we really are going to do something to help the Z with short motion get into the picture and drive right over the top of the free safety to pull the free safety off so that we can again go Y to cross to scissor route. 1, 2, 3, and be able to account for that free safety and not have to worry about him. Next, here's an example of using an X corner as our prime route, and again working to get a high-low read as the prime route read, and then coming back to the Z as the square in route, but taking the slot and blowing him through the formation to make sure that the free safety cannot jump that square in. So we're using the Z dig as an outlet. However, we're doing a good job of cleaning up the outlet and opening up the square in by the Z. Here's a similar concept. Again, we're looking at the possibility of the post corner and the flat route being a high-low read as our prime read. However, this time we're taking the slot and blowing him through the free safety area to clear him out so that if we have to go backside, we can go backside to the X and not fear that the free safety is going to jump that route. Next is our switch read route combination. We really like this concept. What we are doing is putting our X on a switch stem read route. Well, on his read route, it tells us if there's a man sitting in the middle, he's going to break it across. And what we are doing is in creating a 2-on-1, even though we're man covered, we're trying to create a 2-on-1 isolation on the free safety. We got the Y who's working straight up the seam, and we've got the X who's breaking into the middle. If the Y pushes the free safety deep, then we feel good about working to the square in action of the switch route. If the free safety jumps the switch route, we may very well have a home run to the Y. Once again, if the quarterback's not feeling good about this, he can always go outside to the 1-on-1 streak of the Z, because he's always been taught that inside we've got 1, 2, 3 defenders on 2, where outside we always have a 1-on-1 isolation. So if the quarterback decides to go 2-on-1, that's why we've got a 1 for each of these people, 2-on-1 read on a free safety, and it's not there, then he would immediately go out to the around route of the slot, who either takes it deep, or if it's man-to-man coverage, he'll break it back inside. Very interesting route and a very good combination versus the free safety. We really need to good man separation here, and we need for the tight end to beat that strong linebacker. Next is our four streaks attack of man-free coverage. We've talked about this before. The main thing for a quarterback to think is that when we get four streaks, that inside there are 3-on-2 defenders versus offenders. We have a nickel bump man covering the Y. We have a strong safety bump man covering the slot. And we have a free safety sitting in the middle to help out to one side or the other. Where that doesn't look very good, outside we have one-on-ones against the corners with really no help. So our thinking of our quarterbacks is if we have a four streaks pattern called and we see man-free coverage, go outside to the one-on-ones. Another way we like to attack man-free coverage with the four streaks is to call for deep rollaways at 18 yards. Again, we know we have 3-on-2 inside. Here's the possibility of a dime robber, extra robber there. So again, the four streaks never really looks that good inside. Where we like to go is outside. So just where we had excellent streak isolations, now we have excellent rollaway isolations versus the bump press man coverage. Next in the four streak series, we could go with double square ins. Again, what we are doing now is with the 3-on-2 inside, we're really blowing out the two inside man coverage defenders and the free safety to allow us a chance to get inside, to have inside square ins working underneath these two blowout, clear out routes. If either doesn't look good, the quarterback immediately comes down to the tailback who's running an isolation route, option route on the will backer that's covering him. Next, we see four streaks with double options. So once again, to 10 or 12 yards, we are showing four streak action. Against the corners, we're sticking, we're running the streaks to 12, and here we show an acute route. To this side, I'm showing stick, take it deep to 12, and run a rollaway route. The quarterbacks have excellent one-on-one isolation routes to the outside, which he could take at any time. If he doesn't like the outside routes, he has a one-on-one isolation versus the nickel defender, in this case, a one-on-one isolation versus the strong safety to the other side. What he has to worry about is possibility the free aspect, possible free aspect of a hole player or a robber player. But the tailback in this case has shown that he is running a man route and breaking to the outside against the man coverage of the MAC backer. Our next concept is the under concept in the attack of man-free coverage. The under route is a good man beater, but the under patterns may be a bit limited. We say that because we fear the possibility of the hole throw may really be in a good position for the free safety to jump to either side, so he's in a decent position to jump that. And the other thing we worry about is there's a strong chance that there may be extra hole players when the under route makes his man break to the inside. So it has potentials. There are things we like about it. I'm not as fond of it to simply a two-receiver side because, again, what we can see is the potential for the hole player. I like it much better to a trip side where we have a better chance of clearing, and having more territory to work into before we get into the hole player area. So a Z under coming away from the outside with two clear routes gives us the room that makes me feel a little better. Again, man-free coverage, the one thing you got to keep worrying about is that inside robber hole player. Another concept that can be very effective to the trip side and to the Z is to run a Z under with a slot in route. Okay, here I show that the slot is sticking and driving up. Again, if it was zone, he could curl up, but again, we're talking about man free now, so we're going to get separation and snap to the inside. Okay, so we get a slot square in, and we get a Z under route. We've got two in breaking routes, and we'll read that 1 to 2. Okay, now I like it to the trip side because once again, we're going to be able to clear out the third man coverage defender by clear the free safety, clear the mic out of there on the man coverage to give us a chance on the two in breaking routes, the Z under and the slot in. Here's no backs double under. Again, I like this much better to the 3 receiver side because I got feel that I have an extra receiver who sticks and clears through, takes his man out, and occupies the free safety for the possibility of the seam or the underthrow. Next, we have our drives and our cross pattern principles in our attack of man-free coverage. Here's a doubles formation, Z drive to the field. What we are trying to do is really get one-on-one runaway isolations with our drive route, with our Y on his square in, and even with our back as he man separates and follows the drive route. The concern, once again, is any hole type players, anybody extra, any linebacker that suddenly finds he's free to sit as a hole player and be able to rob, to be able to pick up that anybody crosses into his area, such as the drive route right here. We're going to be sure to outside release to help clear those people. We tell the Z, cut your split down and get across the formation. Stay on the move, get out in this territory, get away from the hole player. Our tight end sticks, gets up, man separates, and drives to the inside. He's got to get separation to maintain the separation. Then our tailback checks his responsibility. He works up to his sit route area. He gives a little nod outside now. He is going to break, and he's going to trail the route. He can't be too quick. We can't have him get underneath the tight end and close up the tight end. He has to be sure, even though it's man coverage, that he works to his tight end area, makes his nod move to the outside, and then breaks inside and trails both the drive and the Y tight end square in route. Here is slot drive weak. Now, one thing we like about this is we have called the back against man-free coverage to run a swing route to the side that the drive is working to. We feel we can pull more man-free people out. We can pull the corner out with the clear. We can pull the weak corner out so that when we drive across the formation, even though this Mac backer may become the hole player, we can get across his face and get to the opposite side so that the hole player concept is not going to bother us. Again, Y is going to run his square in. It's just a little bit different of a concept. All we're doing, we're giving us a 1, 2, 3 triangle read. Really, we're getting a nice clear out by the tailback in this case to open up and help the slot to get across the formation man-to-man and pull some linebackers out of the coverage so that the drive can be effective. Next, we see a double drive from a trips to the Z formation. Again, showing the tailback. When we know we're seeing a man-free coverage team, let's send the tailback on a swing to the side of where the drives are working to. And we kind of like this action because we get the pull out and the clear out, and we don't have to worry about a tailback breaking too quickly. We are going to get a natural trailing Z because he has so far to come. So the slot works to the opposite side. He's number 1. Number 2 is the square in action of the Y. And number 3 is the the second drive of the double drive by the Z, so we get a 1, 2, 3 triangle read of receivers who have man separated and are working across the formation. So that would be one of my favorite ways of running the drive concept against man-free coverage. Here's double drive action versus man-free coverage. Very early in this presentation, we talked about crossing routes, and here we are with the Y cross. Again, we have to be worried about hole covered linebackers. However, what we are doing is to work the Y across the formation. Get across. Get outside of the opposite tight end area so that we can get away from the hole players. Our slot in this case runs the square in. He must get inside. We must have an action where they get the crossing action of the two people, of the crosser and the square in route as he breaks across the formation into the middle. Here we are showing the tailback runs his check. Now in this case, because it's a cross, we don't want him following the crossing route. We want him breaking to the outside because of the square in route. So it's a little bit of a memorization problem for the tailback. On drive, he can follow the drive, but on cross, he has to break to the outside to form the 1, 2, 3 triangle to spread things out so we give more room for this tight end cross route to come open. Next, we show slot cross action. We're just flipping the pattern principle. Now we have our slot who's sticking and driving across the formation in his cross route. He wants to gain separation and maintain the separation. And now our Y is working his short square in at 10 to 12 yards, breaking inside, getting separation, breaking inside across the formation. Once again, the tailback has to understand he checks his blocking responsibility. He's got man coverage, so he wants to work up, little nod, and break to the outside. On the cross, he has to break to the outside, so we get a chance to really get a good triangle read, get separation of the receivers so that the man breaking routes can work. An excellent concept to use versus a man-free bump press coverage is to have a double cross type of concept, here shown with a Z clear. So now we will designate the Y and the S to actually both run crossing routes. The Y goes first, the slot comes underneath, and we're looking to get that picking, crossing, rubbing action to hopefully free one receiver or the other. The X runs a square in at about 14 yards, and that is to be the outlet route. Our read here is number 1, to read the mesh and see if one of the receivers pops open. If not, that's about the time that the square in should come into the middle as the two receivers are clearing out the center area for the square in. Here's man-free crossing action of the tight end and the split end off of play action. Next is our middle triangle attack of man-free coverage. We start out with our backs sit. We're showing acute initial read routes, so we have acutes outside. Again, their initial reads, if the quarterback likes what he sees against the man-free coverage, he likes the isolation, he hits the 5th step of his drop, and the ball's gone. If not, what we are reading is the backs sit action. Now, the read changes a little bit. from zone coverage. We're really looking for the backs to be the number one read for the quarterback. The backs are going to work for their sits. They're 3 yards over the tackle area. However, they see it's man coverage, so they are working to step on the toes of the linebackers, get an inside head fake, and break to the outside. Break to the outside. And we're looking for those one-on-one isolations of the tailback and fullback against the weak linebacker and the strong linebacker. The Y, knowing that it's a middle triangle concept, he sees free safety in the middle of the field. He wants to stick, work upfield, and break inside. He is the outlet too. So we really are looking in our back sits concept of this middle triangle to look for one-on-one outbreaking isolations. Next, we show a backs cross with roll-away initial reads. You know, in the last diagram, we showed acutes. Here, we're simply showing roll-away isolations. Again, if the quarterbacks feel that's his best read, he'll hit the fifth step and let the ball go. Throw to one of the roll-aways. If not, what we are looking for is a one read of the meshing crossing backs. We read the mesh, and if one or both of the backs pop open free, the quarterback's looking to throw the ball to lead them tightly to the outside. If not, at that time we'll get a clearing action and get this Y, who's on a middle read. He sees a free safety in the middle of the field. He knows he's got to break it off. Looking for the throw over the middle. Of course, as you see here, we have an extra linebacker, middle linebacker, acting as the whole player. So we are very hopeful that we're going to be able to throw to one of these crossing routes. And if we're going to throw to the middle cross route, we've got to throw it early or late and make sure we're not throwing it to the extra hole MAC linebacker. Next, we're showing the backs fake cross action with comeback outs as outlets. Now they're not initial read, they're outlets. The fullback works a fake cross and breaks back to the outside. The tailback fakes the cross and breaks back to the outside. Once again, the Y is on his middle read, sees free safety in the middle of the field. Stick, take him up and break it to the inside. Our read is to read the breaking fake cross action and look to see if the fullback or the tailback pops open versus the man coverage of the weak and strong linebacker. If not, we are throwing to the square and break of the tight end. This time the MAC backer is blitzing, so we don't have a problem of having to work off of a whole player. The fullback delay is shown here with middle read action by the Y tight end, and we're using deep rollaways as outlets, 18 to 15, so again, they are outlet routes taking longer to develop. All right, we've got the fullback delay, so our tight end is releasing. On his middle read, he sees that the free safety's in the middle of the field, so he immediately breaks in, squares in. We're looking for a 1 to 2 high-low triangle read, but as soon as he breaks and squares in, the quarterback, he knows, becomes more of an outlet, and we immediately come down to the fullback delay route. He's going to step up and block for one solid count or sit in there 1001, 1002, expand a little bit and come under. And that delay route gives us a strong chance by expanding. The reason he's expanding is because he knows it's man coverage. He doesn't want to try to just sneak up on a normal fullback delay. He has to expand and bring the stub linebacker, the strong linebacker, out with him and then break back underneath and stay on the move for the throw. Have to be concerned about the whole throw. So the fullback delay can get a little sticky. It's a route we're a little concerned about. I'd much rather, again, work crossing routes or back fake routes that break, fake cross that break back outside. That again, we're always working out and away from possible hole defenders like you see here in the fullback delay. If the MAC backer blitzes, the route will be fine, but you can't really take that chance. Here's a tailback delay, and again, it's the same concept. We've tacked down outside streaks. Why? Because maybe we feel that we can get great one-on-one isolations outside versus the press bump coverage, and by calling outside streaks, we're telling the quarterback to check that. Once again, we have the same type of concept here. It's just a tailback instead of the fullback. On the delay, again, the whole player is something we have to worry about. If he blitzes, we're okay, but if there's a whole player, he could be sitting right to where the tailback delay comes. Y break is a concept that, because of the delayed action, can help us against hole-type players. We have the fullback working straight upfield. Remember, when we have a fullback running the middle read route, he has no break-off. It takes too long. We're not going to have him run a square route. So he's going to basically work straight upfield and occupy the free safety. If the free safety were to ignore him, and that does happen sometimes with backs, we might find him wide open going down the field. And then we come to the Y break number 2. So we're feeling a little better because we're working out, coming back in, so there's a chance we can hit him early and not have to worry about hole defenders. The tailback is going to run his sit route with man coverage. That means going to outbreak. So again, we'll go 1 to 2 to 3. The Y pivot is probably the route I like best, other than the backs cross and the backs fake cross. For the Y and the delays, I like the Y pivot best because we have our tailback clearing in this case. We have our Y working inside, and then man separating back to the outside. And again, when we break to the outside, there's usually no help. There are no extra hole players, floaters to interfere with our action. So against man free, we like the Y pivot. We think that's an excellent action. I'm showing it here with deep comeback out outlets. We read 1 to 2 to 3. And here, because of the outbreak, the fullback hopefully will remember that he can really take a man break inside or outside, because if he breaks inside, he's really just trailing the Y break. Next, our Texas concept attack of man-free coverage. It can be good. We also can have some problems because of the inside man-free hole defenders. Here's fullback Texas with streak initial reads. Again, now we're telling the quarterbacks, hey, take a check outside. We tack on streaks to man-free. We're telling you something, and outside is a good deep throw possibility. If not, we're working the Y, breaking to the outside. That's the thing that we do like about the route. We stick and stem and push the strong safety, snap to the outside. Right there with that square out action, we have an excellent throw possibility to the outside. We may have a good possibility of the fullback on his scissor route part of the Texas. You know, we're going to run that strong linebacker out and come back inside. If the quarterback can throw early, we're okay. If he throws it late and brings it inside too much, he may bring it into hole defenders. So mixed feeling about the fullback Texas. We do feel we have excellent outside throw capabilities here to the wide receivers and an excellent throw to the Y tight end going outside. We have to be very careful about the fullback on his Texas action of scissoring back inside because of potential hole players. Here is the Texas drive with the slot running the Texas. This is not a bad concept, even with the whole player. Why? Because he's a little more removed. Once again, we've tacked on deep rollaway routes as outlets. That's fine. We could have acutes. We could have rollaways as initial reads, shorter routes if we wanted to. But once again, the Texas to square out action of the Texas route by the tight end is excellent versus the man free. We just have to be very, very careful about the slot coming underneath on his Texas action with his delay crossing action. This is a little bit different of a concept. What we're looking at here is Z Texas. The Z is going to motion inside to almost give us a bunch type of concept, and he will run his delayed scissor route or delayed cross route. We feel the thing that we like is we have developed a fade capability for the outside receiver. Once the Z comes in, we're looking at a good fade capability here. We like that. And then we still have the excellent square out Z Texas route. And again, we just given a different way, a different look, but we like the fade here. We like the square out, and we may still be okay with the scissor route by the Z as long as we're careful about any hole players. Our next concept is our option isolation attack of man-free coverage. We talked earlier about we like isolations and we like crossing routes. Well, here come our isolation routes. Our Y option, we're showing our Y option with a Z acute initial read. So into the boundary, this is an initial read, but it's a route that we may very well go to. The quarterback looks up and he says, hey, there's number 5. He's not very good, and that's our best receiver. Hey, let's hit the 5th step and throw the football. We're going to stick him. We're going to drive him up to 12. We're going to sell streak and come back and run an acute route here. It could be a rollaway if we wanted to. That helps to clear the outside so that now we can get a good one-on-one isolation route. Inside or outside break, 8 to 10, possibly 12 yards, getting a one-on-one isolation against the MAC linebacker. Here we have a clear out, and we're just showing on the back side a curl route, swing route as our outlet. So we can go 1 to 2 to 3. But again, isolations versus man coverage are excellent. Here's a halfback option with an X rollaway. So our X roll, actually I'm showing an execute here. Could very well be a rollaway. Okay. We have an X rollaway as an initial read with a one-on-one isolation. We just have to be a little careful about breaking inside. More often than not, we're able to pin the linebacker to the inside with his inside-out alignment coverage and snap it back to the outside. Careful coming back inside because of the possibility of hole players. Here we have a double option. We like the concept of the double option. Here we're showing it with we just have an initial read here with a streak, a fade versus the press coverage. Here we're showing the possibility of an 18-yard deep rollaway as an outlet. But what we are thinking about is we have a one-on-one isolation here and a one-on-one isolation here. As a delayed outlet, we have our back on his isolation. We can throw to either route. Basically, what we like to do is take a good look at that MAC linebacker or whoever is free and see where the extra person is leaning and go opposite that person so that we are getting a true one-on-one isolation. Here is double option isolation from a spread set. We're using the X and the Y to run his option. Again, we've spread things out pretty well. We pretty much have defined who's going to be the hole player. So we will simply read the MAC linebacker. If he goes that way, then we'll go into this option. If he goes that way, we're going to that option. So it kind of clears things up a little bit and tells us where to go, and helps us to stay away from the hole player. Last but not least are our legal picks. Now, picking is legal if you do it the right way. If you run into a defender and in essence block a defender, that's not legal. We need to set picks for the receivers to brush off of. All right, here's an excellent example of what I'm talking about. We have the slot coming across into a trip set against the man-free coverage. We know that the corner is the person coming across covering the slot. Our Z runs an option route. He's going to set right in front of the course of the corner. So if I'm running the option route, I'm going to just get a yard to 2 yards in front of that person coming across and set and turn and look at the quarterback. And I'm going to force the corner to run into me, run under me, or run over me. If he does any of those three things, the person who's running into the flat is going to come open. We have a unique concept that we like. We call it a late option. So again, the Z sits and just turns and sits in front of the course of the cornerback, forcing them to run into him, run over him, run under him, to help free the picking route, the flat route to the outside. But we have a unique concept that if that route for some reason is covered, we flip our eyes, the quarterback flips his eyes right to the picker, who we call the picker, and now he runs a late option route, just gets open so we have someone to throw the ball to. That is our legal pick. And here it's a slot pick. There's a number of ways that you could run that, but that's how we would set the pick for the slot. Here's an X rub route. We are rubbing for the X. So the slot's going to stick, and now he's going to run a fade type route to 10 yards, which allows the X to run underneath him so that we get that crossing picking action, which has a tendency to disturb one or both of the man covering defenders, so that either the rub route comes open right now, or the possibility of the around acute type route to the outside comes open later. All right, so we simply read the rub and go 1 to 2. Here is what we call a slice route. On the slice route, we are going to set rub action for the slot. So the X is sticking outside on the corner, taking him inside, and now the slot sticks his man and runs underneath and runs a fade route. So we're looking to set up that throw. We are looking to set up the fade route. That's the person we are rubbing off of the X to see if we can get that fade route throw. What we tell the X is you're the person that's setting for the rub action, and then you just sit down, and if the quarterback snaps his eyes to you late, then you run an option route. We've had a lot of success with that against man free for a big reason. Now the free safety can't get over to make the play. It's too far. Slot picks, very much from the spot family. We simply now are going to bring our Z in this case, and he's going to set that picking action I talked about. He's just going to come in here and get in front of the stub backer, who's the person who's supposed to be covering, in this case, the fullback, and sits there and looks at the quarterback, so that he has to. The strong backer has to either run into, under, or over. Usually that's too late, and there's our fullback wide open in the flat. We're still going to read that 1 to Y's corner route 2, and then we will come out late. We really are not going to run an option route, but we set the pick, and if the quarterback snaps our eyes to it, then we break out late for a possible number 3 throw. That's really a good concept. It's simply our spot concept, except we tell the inside guy to be a picker. Okay, here's the same concept, really the same concept, except we've done it with a wing. These really are simply different ways to show bunches. We have a wing, we have a tight end offset, a tailback offset. So the tailback's in the flat. Now the Z sets the pick. He comes out late. 1, 2, 3 is the read. A wing spot pick. Okay, here is a bunch spot pick. Okay, now we've truly bunched. We've got our Z, our Y, and our slot. Okay, our S is going to delay a little bit on this, okay, because we want basically him to be able to rub off of the outside Z person who is running the pick. But we really get some nice crossing action here. The Z inside sets the pick, the Y is into his corner route, and the slot is going to delay a little bit as he stems at the strong backer covering him and then breaks outside. We're still going to read it 1 to 2 to the picker coming out late 3. So those are excellent concepts. Those spot picks are really excellent concepts versus man-free coverage. One other thing we like to do is to work on swing screens in which we are actually blocking the pick. Since the ball is thrown behind the line of scrimmage, we are allowed to, on this type of a screen, for the Y to simply go and get and block the man that is responsible for man covering the tailback. So we have a nice swing, we clear it out with the Z. We've got a nice swing, the person that's covering the swing is blocked. Quarterback is simply going to lay the ball off to the tailback for a legal screen pick play to the tailback. Thank you for watching Man-Free Coverage Pass Attack. May I recommend that through Coach's Choice videos, there is a 4-video series. You've just watched one today. You've watched Man-Free Coverage Pass Attack, but we also have Cover 3 Pass Attack, Cover 2 Pass Attack, and Quarters Coverage Pass Attack by me, Steve Axman. Thanks for watching.